the Battlefront Network, giving you your daily dose of Battlefront content.
Don't forget to enter our May the 4th giveaway, guys, for you to have a chance to win some awesome prizes. The competition closes June 29th, and more information is in the description below. Enjoy the video, guys.
Korriban cookies, come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic week of Wishlist Wednesday. It is week 7, and with week 7, we have a very, very special guest on the podcast. Introduce yourself, not Buzz Killington.
I am Dylan. On YouTube, I am Dak303, and on Facebook, I am John Tuttle. So, yeah, that's me.
Alright, Dylan, what qualifies you to be on Wishlist Wednesday?
I am a very big Star Wars fan. I've seen the movies, read a lot of the books, the comics, and played a lot of the video games.
So Dylan would be a semi-expert in the realm of Star Wars, and then as always, my partner in crime, who are you?
Hey guys, it's Carbon Shadow, Nolan's main partner and only partner in crime for this series we like to call Wishlist Wednesdays.
Yes, it is Wishlist Wednesday, so we're sorry, Buzz, that we could not get you on this episode. It is kind of a buzzkill, but hopefully we will get you in a future episode. So, Johnny, without further ado, why don't you start us off here?
That would be a great idea, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. So, our first topic comes from the Zenyatta 80. Or the Zenyatta 80, sorry, I mispronounced that, and he says, what kind of customizable heads would you want to see? Mine would be a Rodian. What do you guys think? So, I'm going to throw this one straight at Dylan. What do you think, Dylan?
Starting off with the new guy, hey? Well, there's 3 heads that I think would be great for the Rebel Alliance, since these 3 aliens were very big for the Rebel Alliance, and that would be the Sulstan head, a Mon Calamarian head, and a Bothan head. Again, 3 big figures in the Rebel Alliance, and I know we've already seen a Sulstan head in that Battlefront preview trailer, so yeah, those would be the 3 for me.
Those are some really good heads right there, and I should point out that they're not technically heads, they're bodies. So, yeah. Because it makes more sense, because these guys are alien races, so they are bodies. So, Nolan, which bodies / heads do you want to see?
So, the 3 I would like to see Gungans, because I would love to be running around and shoot a Jar Jar looking mother effer right in the face, right between the eyes. Or maybe pull his ears off. The second one, I would have to go with a Toydarian, because I would just love to sprint around as a Toydarian and watch the nose flop around, because I would do that in third person for hours, because that's just hilarious, just the Toydarian nose flopping from side to side.
But Toydarians fly.
Yeah.
They don't sprint, they fly.
They could sprint.
No, they couldn't.
In a universe, they could sprint. It doesn't matter, even flying, their nose is still gonna flop around some. And then my third race would be Dathomirians, because who does not love Dathomirians, and who would not like to play as a Dathomirian? And then a Twi'lek head.
Yeah, that's actually quite a good suggestion, actually. Twi'lek is an awesome suggestion. Now I've got to try and come up with one, and it's very hard, but I'm going to go for the obvious sort of option here, and I'm going to go for a Wookiee, because I'd love to see a Wookiee body. Everyone knows that a Rebel Wookiee is a badass Wookiee. Any Wookiee's a badass Wookiee, but a Rebel Wookiee would be really, really awesome. Trying to think of other races off the top of my head, and I'm not doing very well here, I have to admit. And I do like your idea of a Rodian. I think a Rodian, being able to have a Rodian Rebel, that would be really cool. But quite frankly, I can't think of anything else to add to that selection, so it is up to you guys in the comments below. You tell us what kind of customizable rebels you want to see, because quite frankly, I've failed on this one. So, if nobody has anything further to add to this topic, I think it's time for a Force Scout rating. So, who wants to give their Force Scale rating?
As always, I have to point out this is a question, so what are we going to do our Force Scale rating based on?
I guess we'll do it based on the head/bodies we've suggested in this episode of Wishlist Wednesdays. So I'm going to give the first 4-scale rating to Dylan. So Dylan, your first 4-scale rating ever on Wishlist Wednesdays, what is it going to be?
It's going to be
Don't underestimate the Force.
a 3. And the reason it's so low, because I was going to have it higher, but then Nolan had to go and add a bunch of prequel ones that obviously are probably not going to be in the game. So averaging out the prequel ones with the ones that Johnny and I gave, it turns into a 3.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Dylan here. I'm going to give it a 3, which is a...
Don't underestimate the Force.
And the reason I'm doing that is for the exact same reasons Dylan said. It's because Nolan decided to suggest some prequel heads, which, as awesome as they would be to feature in the game, they aren't going to be there because we know there's going to be no Clone Wars era. They've confirmed there's no Clone Wars era. So, yeah, that's just life.
But just because there's no Clone Wars era doesn't mean that these species just don't exist anymore. I mean, the Gungans are still alive.
We don't know that.
Well, true.
Well,
Considering nothing's canon anymore, we don't know.
Exactly.
But assuming that the Gungans are still alive, which is a reasonable assumption to make, I am going to give this a 4-scale rating of...
The Force is strong in this one.
Giving it a 5, and I'm going to laugh at you both when I am running around as a Gungan in the new Star Wars Battlefront game.
It is not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
That's what you
Seriously, you're being too optimistic about this. It's not going to happen. You are not going to be running around that game as a Gungan. If you end up running around that game at launch as a Gungan, I will eat something I would never normally eat. I will eat something of your choosing.
Obviously, I won't be running around as a Gungan. Gungans jump.
Okay, but if you are playing as a Gungan, I will eat something of your choosing. Now, I'm laying that down as a bet now, okay?
Alright.
I'm laying that down as a bet now, okay? Now with that out the way, we should move on to the second topic. Thank you, Zenyatta80, for your suggestion and for your topic. It was a really good one. And we move straight on to Joshua Cianek. I think that's how you pronounce your surname. It could be Cianek. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry if I butchered that. So, he says, with a DLC that is to come out in the future, do you think that it'll include more from the upcoming trilogy? And if so, will we be seeing the newly designed First Order Stormtroopers being implemented? Now, I'm going to throw this one at Nolan. What do you think?
So, I really don't think that we're going to see anything in the new Star Wars Battlefront from this new trilogy other than Jakku, just because Jakku branches episode 6 to episode 7. It branches the two trilogies. So that's the only reason why Jakku is in there, in my opinion. That's the only reason why there's any Force Awakens content. Now, in terms of other DLC they could do for Force Awakens, they would have to bring the New Order Stormtroopers in because they've already brought it into the Force Awakens era at that point, which means that they would have to be exclusive to that planet or that DLC pack, and then if we see new Rebel designs also, they're also going to have to be exclusive to that DLC pack and to those maps, and I just think that's an incredible amount of work that they're going to have to put in to make the skins and everything like that and the planets to just have them be accessible in this one planet. So I really don't think that we're going to see it. How about you, Dylan?
Well,
Cutting you off, Johnny.
There. I'm gonna have to agree with you, because everything that's coming out about this Battlefront trailer, Battlefront news, is gonna be that. It's gonna be Galactic Civil War. It's gonna be that only. No Clone Wars, and other than Jakku, we're not seeing a lot of Force Awakens or new trilogy stuff. So, and like you said, Nolan, it'd be too much to render the new model stormtroopers just for specific maps, and even in DLC. Sure, they could do maps from The Force Awakens, but I highly doubt that, and even if they did, I highly doubt they would have just specific character skins for those maps.
Okay, so before Nolan cut me off there, which, fair enough, he does it a lot, that's fine by me. I'm going completely the opposite direction to these two. I think we will see it. I think they're going to take the opportunity to actually show off the Force Awakens in video game form, and I think Battlefront is probably the best way to do it. You can throw technically any era into Battlefront because that's the sort of game it is. So, you know, I don't think putting the work in is I don't think that's a deterrent. I think EA would be like, DICE would be like, yeah, let's actually get Force Awakens in the game. This would be so awesome to actually release DLC to release Force Awakens DLC after the film releases. I think that'd be really awesome. And of course, it's going to bring in loads of sales because people have already gone out and seen the film, and now they can play as their favorite characters from the film in the game. And plus, if BB-8 gets added to Star Wars Battlefront, I can die happy. I mean, BB-8 is a little Roddy droid. You add that to Star Wars Battlefront. I mean, C-3PO is going to be in there. So is R2-D2. Let's bring BB-8 to Star Wars Battlefront. I'd be so happy. But I mean, in the thinking about the whole First Order Stormtroopers, I still think we might see them in Battlefront. Slightly, again, I am slightly skeptical because I'm being ganged up on by Dylan and Nolan. However, I'd love to see the First Order Stormtroopers in Battlefront, and I think they could make an appearance through DLC.
So I thought I should add that I'm not really completely against the idea. I do think that we will probably see at least like a map or something from The Force Awakens, but we will not see the New Order Stormtroopers or the New Rebels, whatever they may be. I think that we'll see maps, sure, that are potentially featured in The Force Awakens, and we'll see maps from the same planets that are in The Force Awakens, but in terms of the actual Force Awakens battles, being able to play those out, I think it's highly unlikely.
Okay then, Dylan, do you have anything else to add before we give our 4-scale rating?
No.
Okay, well, that was a very quick and succinct answer. Thank you for that, Dylan. So 4-scale rating, Nolan, you can kick us off with this one.
I am going to say
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
a 2 for this rating, simply because I don't see it happening.
Okay, what about you, Dylan?
I'm gonna have to agree. I'm gonna give it a 2.
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
It's just, it's not gonna happen.
But why? Why so pessimistic?
It's not pessimism. It's just, it's just all the news we're getting. Again, this is purely speculation, but all the news we're getting is that it's going to be Galactic Civil War. So it doesn't make sense if that's what they're going for, that they would add Episode 7 stuff.
Okay then. Okay, so it's time for me to give my Force rating for this one, and it's I'm on the fence about this. To be totally honest with you, I am on the fence about this, but I think I'm going to give it a.
May the Force be with you.
And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And the reason being is I really do think we are going to see some Force Awakens DLC, and I think if they included the New Order Stormtroopers, it would just make the game complete, as the Emperor likes to say. So, yes, I think yeah, we could see it, but there's a little part of me saying, nah, we're not going to see it. It's not going to happen. It'll never happen. But, well, we'll just have to wait and see on this one, I guess, guys. So, that would bring us on to our third topic. But, before we get into our third topic, we have a sponsor to thank, don't we, guys?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Korriban Cookies, for your sponsorship this week. Shout out to them. You should definitely check out Korriban Cookies. They have some great cookies. The super dark chocolate cookies, or the dark side chocolate cookies as they like to call them, are very good, as well as the Plagueis butter and jelly cookies.
Yes, so don't forget
Plagueis butter and jelly. That's it.
Plagueis butter and jelly, yes, but don't forget to come to the dark side because they have cookies.
What? And the Sitherdoodle cookies, those ones are good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, no, those are great. Those are great.
No, the Darth Maul double chocolate cookies.
Oh wow, yeah, no, let's not even start on the Darth Maul double chocolate cookies. But Yes, thank you Korriban Cookies for being another awesome sponsor for this week's episode of Wishlist Wednesdays. Now, without further ado, let's move on to our last and final topic, because of course last is final. Anyway, let's move on to our third topic of today's episode of Wishlist Wednesdays, and it comes from Shane Houle. Houle? Yeah, I've butchered your surname. I'm very sorry, sir. But yeah, I'm going to move straight into your topic because I have epically failed there. So, you say, what do you believe the chances of being able to abort vehicles and ships are before being shot down? I remember I always wished you could jump out of a snowspeeder and parachute down into battle similar to Battlefield, because Battlefront wouldn't allow you to jump out of a ship while mid-flight. What do you think the chances of this would be? I'm going to start off with this one, and I think the chances are quite high, because I think having that in the game adds an air of freedom with playability within the game. If you are flying in a conquest type mode and you decide you want to get out because you're about to be shot or whatever, then being able to do that and having some sort of thruster or some sort of parachute would be really cool. And just think about it. You decide to dive bomb your snowspeeder into an enemy base, then you get out, you will parachute out of your snowspeeder, and then you will pull out an RPG from your back and shoot the RPG at the enemy base as well, and then it's just giant explosion. I think that'd be really cool. It's obviously really unrealistic and probably not going to happen in the game, but I think it's just a really cool thing to think about. So yes, I think this will happen in the game, but those are my honest thoughts. Dylan, what about you?
I think, again, it could happen, because in universe, even though it's not shown in the 6 movies, in A New Hope, it is mentioned when Jack Porkins is going down to the Death Star, they tell him, eject, eject. He says, no, I can have it. So there is, in universe, according to the movies, some way for even space vehicles for the pilot to eject safely. Now, whether they would be like in the old expanded universe, which I know is no longer canon, but where the cockpit would come out with the pilot in it, and it would be like a little safe cocoon for them to drift through space, or in the snowspeeder one, if the pilot would eject and have some sort of thruster pack that would guide him down, or maybe parachute, too, if they could make parachutes work in Star Wars. But it could happen, and I don't see, other than the creators at DICE not being able to find a way to make it in and make it make sense, I don't see any way that they couldn't do it.
Okay, Nolan?
I also agree. As the years have gone by since the last Battlefront game, the shooter market has really evolved, and Battlefield, which obviously is the same development company as Battlefront, really kind of embodies the type of game that Battlefront is going to be. And I know a lot of people are going to get angry about this, but I'm not trying to say that it's going to be Star Wars Battlefield. I'm just saying it's a good kind of model for the game and what it should be with the large-scale maps and vehicles and everything. However, I don't think we're going to see this escaping mechanism, and that's just for the point of realism and trying to keep the Star Wars vibe. So in the new Battlefront, from what we've seen from the trailer and everything, it's not really a realistic vibe. Like, you got the chicken walker that teeters from side to side like we saw in the movies. You have gunfire that's hitting trees and it's sparking, or hitting people and it's sparking just like it does in the movies. And in the movies, the landing sequence, or in the movies we don't see it, it's just referenced, as Dylan said. But the other thing that I thought of while sitting here was gameplay mechanics. So in Battlefield, have you ever tried to land a jet in Battlefield, Dylan or Johnny?
No.
I've tried in Battlefield 2.
Bitch to try to land one of those. But then, if you go to Battlefront 1 or 2, the landing sequence is a lot different for vehicles in Star Wars than it is vehicles in real life. So, because the landing sequence is so different, and just in Star Wars it just comes straight down and lands, the landing gear comes out, I think that it's not as necessary to have a mechanic for ejecting out of your vehicle. And obviously, if you can eject out of your vehicle, then these huge dogfights that they're trying to have, even in maps where it's not the focus of the dogfights, it's going to be... You're not going to get that satisfying kill of killing someone. They're going to eject before their vehicle gets destroyed. So, while I do think it's a mechanic that the game needs, at the same time I feel like it's a mechanic that the game doesn't need.
Okay, you make some good points there. I think I just want to add on to the whole taking off and landing thing. The thing with that is that nearly every ship in the Star Wars universe has vertical takeoff. You know, it has a vertical takeoff. Whereas
it's not like trying to land a jet in Battlefield where you really have to time it perfectly, get the landing gear down, and decelerate. You just go straight down.
Yeah, exactly. But I still think it'd add a different vibe if you were able to like parachute out of a ship. Obviously, for modes like Fighter Squadron, you'd be locked into your ships, but that's because it makes sense. Why would you want to get out of your ship? You're dogfighting. There is no battle on the ground, so that makes sense. But I think in Conquest, to be able to actually jump out of a ship and then just go into a ground battle like that, like a badass, it's like I think that would be a pretty cool feature. Whether or not it's in the game, that's a different question entirely, isn't it? So, 4 scale rating. Okay, I'll kick this one off. I'm gonna give this one a...
May the Force be with you.
4 out of 5. And the reason I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 is because I honestly think we could see it in the game, because DICE have done it in all their other games, and it's not hard to implement. I think they could implement it in this game. However, there is again a little part of me, or there is a voice niggling at the back of my brain saying, you know what, this may not actually feature in the game, and that's why I can't give it a 5. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. So, Nolan, what about you?
I am going to give it an...
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
At a 2 out of 5, simply because I know they can implement it in the game. I have absolutely no doubts that they can implement it into the game. It's just that DICE is trying to give it such a realistic Star Wars feel, like a real, genuine Star Wars feel, that I feel like it's something that they don't want to implement.
Okay, that's fair enough. Dylan, what about you? Let's round this up.
I'm gonna agree with you, Johnny, and give it a...
May the Force be with you.
4 out of 5. And the only reason, like Johnny said, it's not a 5 out of 5 is because it's... The only hitch is if the developers can find a way in-universe to do it that makes sense. That's the only hitch that they won't do it, in my opinion.
Yup, no, that's totally fair enough. And I think, if no one else has anything to add, that rounds up this week's episode of Wishlist Wednesdays. So, we are 7 episodes in. That's ridiculous. We have another 22 to go, I believe. There's 22 weeks until the release of Star Wars Battlefront, and of course there's E3 next week, so we get to see even more Battlefront goodness next week, and it will be an extra special episode of Wishlist Wednesday next week. I can guarantee you that. So, without further ado, I guess it's time to round this one up. So, a final thank you to our sponsor, Korriban Cookies. Definitely go to the dark side because they have awesome cookies, and don't forget to try out that Darth Maul double choc cookie because it really is something special, isn't it, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's really great when you break it in half.
Oh, don't even get me started. Anyway, so thank you, Dylan, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
That's not a problem. Sorry, Buzz, that you couldn't be on the show. We will definitely get you on in the future. It's just, obviously, your messages got lost somewhere in the internet, and the internet has a bad habit of sucking up people's messages, which sucks.
And really quick, before our final sign-off, last week we had you vote Team Ewok or Team Jawa, and this week we're back again. This week, comment down below, Team Gungan or Team Toydarian.
So let's quickly go around the three of us and see who is who. So me, personally, yeah, I'm going to have to be Team Gungan on this one. What about you, Dylan?
Team Toydarian, because Gungans suck. Now, Nolan, you're the tiebreaker. It's all on you.
This is a really tough question. I love Jar Jar, I love Watto, and I love money. I'm going Toydarian.
He's going Toydarian, and Toydarian takes it in this episode of Wishlist Wednesday. So don't forget to post in the comments down below, are you hashtag Team Gungan or hashtag Team Toydarian? Also, don't forget to post us some new topics for next week's extra special episode of Wishlist Wednesdays. And until the next one, I've been Carbon Shadow. Nolan's been Nolan?
Pretty sure. Either that or Watto.
Yep, and Dylan has of course been Dylan. Thank you again, Dylan.
No problem.
And until the next one, guys, enjoy E3 and have a good one.